It's been months, maybe longer. You've done everything right. You deleted the messages, you gave back the things, you made a whole internal speech about moving on, and you meant it. And then you're in the shower, or driving, or staring at the ceiling at 1 a.m., and out of absolutely nowhere, there they are. Not a memory you chose, not something you went looking for, just them, the smell of them, the sound of their laugh, some small, stupid thing they used to do that you told yourself you'd forgotten. And the worst part isn't even the thought. The worst part is what comes after it. That tightness, that pull, that hollow thing sitting in the middle of your chest that you've been trying to eat around, sleep around, busy yourself around for months. And you think, what is wrong with me? Why can't I just let this go? Here's what I want you to hear before we go any further. Nothing is wrong with you. What you're feeling isn't weakness, it isn't obsession, it isn't proof that you'll never be okay. It is biology, it is psychology, it is your nervous system doing something incredibly specific. And once you understand what that is, something shifts. Not overnight, but it shifts. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand yourself in a way you didn't before you clicked play. In 1969, British psychiatrist John Bowlby introduced what would become one of the most foundational theories in all of psychology, attachment theory. Bowlby argued that human beings are biologically wired to form deep emotional bonds with specific people, not just because it feels good, but because as infants, those bonds were literally the difference between survival and death. The person who fed you, who came when you cried, who made the world feel safe. Your nervous system encoded them as essential. Now, here is where it gets important. Bowlby's colleague, Dr. Mary Ainsworth, later identified that people develop different attachment styles depending on how reliably those early caregivers responded: secure, anxious, avoidant, disorganized. And your attachment style does not stay in childhood. It follows you into every relationship you have for the rest of your life. Which means the way you're feeling about your ex right now, it almost certainly has roots that go much deeper than that one relationship. But we'll come back to that. First, let's talk about what's actually happening inside your brain when you lose someone you were attached to. Dr. Helen Fisher is a biological anthropologist at Rutgers University. She spent years studying the brains of people who had just been through breakups, and what she found shocked even her. The brains of heartbroken people looked almost identical to the brains of people going through cocaine withdrawal. The same reward circuits, the same craving responses, the same obsessive looping thoughts. Because here's what most people don't understand. Love is not just an emotion, it is a neurochemical process. When you fall for someone, your brain floods with dopamine, oxytocin, and norepinephrine. Your brain begins to associate this person with reward, with safety, with aliveness itself. They become, in a very literal neurological sense, a drug. And when they're gone, your brain doesn't immediately understand. It does what any addicted system does. It craves, it searches, it loops back to every memory, every moment, every possibility, looking for the hit it's been cut off from. This is not weakness, this is withdrawal. And just like withdrawal, it has a timeline. But also like withdrawal, some people get stuck. And that is what I want to explore now.
Not everyone who loses a relationship stays attached for months or years. So what separates the people who grieve and move through from the people who can't? Research by Dr. Lisa Diamond at the University of Utah on what she calls the behavioral immune system of attachment suggests that people who experienced inconsistent love that appeared and disappeared unpredictably, are far more prone to long-term attachment after loss. And psychologist Dr. Sue Johnson, founder of emotionally focused therapy, explains why. She calls it the protest cycle. When an attachment bond is threatened or broken, the human nervous system doesn't quietly accept the loss. It protests, it reaches out, it bargains, it replays, it waits. This is especially intense if the relationship was characterized by what researchers call intermittent reinforcement, a pattern where affection and withdrawal alternated unpredictably. Think about it. If your ex was sometimes warm, sometimes cold, sometimes present, sometimes distant, your nervous system never got to settle. It stayed in a state of low-level vigilance, always monitoring, always hoping for the next warm moment. That hypervigilance doesn't just switch off when the relationship ends. It keeps scanning, it keeps hoping, it keeps you attached, not because you love them, but because your nervous system never got the consistent resolution it needed to let go. Here is the part most people skip, and it is the part that changes everything. Object relations theorist Melanie Klein and later psychologist Dr. Harville Hendrix in his work on imago relationship theory proposed something that sounds almost uncomfortable at first. We are not randomly attracted to people. We are drawn again and again to people who feel familiar in the emotional texture of early relationships, not necessarily healthy relationships, familiar ones. Hendrix called this the imago, an unconscious blueprint built from the sum total of our earliest caregivers' best and worst traits, which means that the person you can't stop thinking about may not just represent themselves, they may represent an entire emotional history. The longing you feel might not only be for them, it might be for something you've been longing for since long before you ever met them. Understanding this is not depressing, it is liberating, because it means the work of letting go isn't just about getting over one person. It is about understanding the wound that made them feel so essential in the first place. So how do you actually begin? Psychologist Dr. Kristen Neff, whose research at the University of Texas has made her one of the foremost experts on self-compassion, has a clear answer. You stop fighting the feeling. Suppression, she has found in study after study, does not reduce emotional pain, it amplifies it. The first step to releasing attachment is counterintuitive. It is to fully acknowledge it, to say, I am still attached to this person, I am still in pain, and that is okay. Not because you'll feel this way forever, but because what you resist persists. The second step is what grief researchers like Dr. William Worden call tasks of mourning, specifically withdrawing the emotional energy invested in the lost relationship and slowly, deliberately reinvesting it in your own life. Not forcing yourself to feel nothing, but choosing day by day to show up for yourself. New experiences, new thoughts, new routines, not to distract, but to remind your nervous system that the world is still here, that you are still here, that life did not end. And over time, not overnight, the attachment loosens, not because you stopped caring, but because you started building something worth caring about again. You are not broken because you still feel attached. You are human, wired for connection, shaped by your history, doing your best to navigate a pain that nobody teaches you how to carry. But now you know what it is, you know where it lives, you know why it refuses to leave quietly. And that knowledge, that is the beginning of the way out. If this hits something real for you, leave a comment below. Tell me where you are in this journey. I read every single one.